Well, let's go ahead and get started. Welcome, everyone. My name is Steve Bowles, and I head up business development for Effisoft. In my position, I have the unique advantage of dealing on a day-to-day basis with partners and customers of all sizes. And I can see where our technology is effective and really valuable to organizations. So in this webinar, we'll explore the true value of leveraging smart capture technology with any digital transformation effort. So here's the agenda, and we'll start with a standard definition of digital transformation, because God knows there's a million of them out there. We'll review some options for where to start in your digital transformation and automation journey. We'll explore elements of content value, examine and ensure that your technical resources around smart capture are set up for success, and then we'll see the results of plugging in smart capture into your DT initiatives. If you aren't familiar with Effisoft, we focus on solving the problem of unstructured content for organizations across the globe. We've got customers across every vertical and a broad range of partners, and we work with companies big and small to automate processes, improve efficiency, and drive overall productivity through our solutions. So let's get started on the topic at hand. Digital transformation seems to be the organizational topic of the day, and there's some serious buzz about the term and its implication for companies today. But when it comes to an overall strategy, defining goals or getting all hands on deck for the effort, there seems to be major confusion abound. Why is that? Digital transformation is one of the most overused terms in the tech industry today. So if you do a Google search for digital transformation, you'll get over 300 million results. A lot of them have varying definitions, scopes, and opinions. The chatter that revolves around this terminology can be confusing and so pervasive that it's hard for IT and business leaders to come to a broad understanding of what it really means. So without understanding at the top and a distributed, understood goal set, organizations are not all marching to the same cadence. So the result, 70% of all digital transformation initiatives fail, and only 16% really see any improvement in performance. To add to that, larger organizations really struggle from the sheer scale and planning required to execute an organization-wide strategy. So for the purposes of this webinar, and my own curiosity, I looked for a solid definition that really captured, no pun intended, the heart of digital transformation and a way to view the top tier goals of any initiative. CIO Magazine had a series on DT, and the definition that they had, I thought, was one of the best. Digital transformation is the application of digital capabilities to processes, products, and assets to improve efficiency, enhance customer value, manage risk, and uncover new monetization opportunities. So it's clean and simple, right? If you examine those 4 defined areas of focus, they could really be natural header topics for strategic initiatives across an organization. So once these broad overarching themes are in place, tacticians can really hunt for areas where intelligent document processing can drive results. As we continue in the webinar, it's these 4 themes that we'll use as targets for Smart Capture's benefit and usage. So the next question is, where do we start and where do we look for opportunities? Using these focus areas as broad headers, we can look for areas to optimize and focus in known areas of pain. So it's from these areas that we can get quick wins in our digital transformation initiatives and focus on true change in our processes that will allow people to focus on more valuable tasks. So what's the best place to start looking for change that can truly impact the enterprise and drive real tangible improvement? Where can we find areas to focus on our 4 core themes for improving efficiency, enhancing customer value, managing risks, and uncovering new opportunities for growth? Content. Content, and more specifically documents, are everywhere in our business life. Physical and digital content is part of just about every business process, whether it's a contract sent from a customer as an email attachment, a paper invoice mailed to an accounting department, or a large volume of sales orders that just exists in a folder. Manual content processing slows down not only the process, but has a large chain reaction that impacts all downstream activities. So without automation technology to automate the manual classification and extraction of data, it's an absolute killer of efficiency. But yet, intelligent document processing as a focus area is typically missing from most digital transformation strategies. Just think about how many times per day you reference, open, forward, construct, or extract data from document content. There's a constant flow in and out of every organization with complexity and manual actions everywhere. So I'll ask a question. Do you really know what defines the value of your content? Most organizations can't answer this question. And why? Content is typically exists in an unstructured state and requires a technical catalyst to be able to expose what we call the elements of value. So they may have bits and pieces of what their documents hold, but most companies lack the distinct elements that make content truly valuable: searchability, classification, metadata, correlation, and context. So at this time, I mentioned it, but I'd like to introduce these as the elements of content value and kind of a way to think about the way that you process your content. As you go up this stack, the value of the element to the organization increases greatly. So understanding and having accessibility to documents is important because the information can hold those insights into customers, service, trends, risks, and those opportunities. So in any digital transformation effort, accessing previously inaccessible data and using it to fuel downstream processes can turbocharge transformation efforts. So that content data can also be a stepping stone to what we call the extended content story. To glean the maximum value from the content, all of these elements must be available, and there must be a single unified catalyst technology that lets you expose all of them. So really quickly, I'm gonna step out of the confines of the webinar and touch on a quick concept just to get your gears turning that's vital to the core of digital transformation. So why is that top level of the value chain of content important today? For many organizations on the journey towards full autonomy, context, the top level of that value stack, is a gatekeeper. So if we look at a quick depiction of the early stages of the journey, most of the tasks are focused around human data entry and or validation. There's hints of automation, but for the most part, a human in the loop is standard. It's only when we enter the stage of contextual understanding and we go up this journey that we can begin to understand not only the content, but the tasks and the processes that encompass them. So it's that understanding that allows progression through process autonomy and then AI-driven context-aware systems. So before we talk about each of the layers that I talked about in the value stack, just some quick notes. To rise up this stack, you have to unlock the levels below, all right, with your technical solution. And as you go up the stack, the value rises with each element. So this can have an exponential effect on productivity. So it's imperative that you use a single technology to expose and maintain kind of the chain of value through these elements, or you can lose all the value that you've gained. So the ability to process unstructured content is really required. Why? It's usually the most challenging content, and those problems pose the most gains. And lastly, you have to have 3 functional areas enabled: the ability to acquire content data, the ability to enrich that information to provide that context, and then the ability to amplify the context to improve organizational productivity. So if we look at the stack, let's go ahead and just go through each of the elements here. And let's start at the bottom with searchability. So ensuring that your content is completely searchable makes sure the right user can find it at the right time. Having 30,000 scanned PDFs from your copier in your content services repository may be a good first step, but if you can't search that content, the value drops significantly. However, searchability isn't the only consideration when we talk about the content value. This element, combined with the others, creates a valuable multiplier effect. So one note here, we typically associate this element with just pure text search capability, which ties to our own human usage. Modern content technology platforms actually create a format that also provides enhanced capabilities to applications, developers, and the new rising digital workforce. So once a document's converted with an intelligent doc processing engine, it goes beyond pure text and contains what I call a dimensional analytic fingerprint for broad and extensive digital use. Up the stack we go next to classification. So classification or categorization answers the most basic content value question. What is this? The identification of the document or content type is a critical step to advancing up the value stack. The chain typically requires machine learning or trained models that use not only text, but other dimensions to ensure accuracy of that classification. Classification is an important requirement for the automation of separation and sorting of bundled document sets. So it allows the system to know when one document ends and another begins. When I know the type of document, I know how to apply security, how to set retention schedules, what workflows might be applicable, and its overall importance to the business. Even more importantly, I can now add additional elements of value specifically tied to the content type. So for a contract, knowing the expiration date and the terms are extremely valuable to the business. This type of layering of the elements can help an organization maximize document data usage, increase the business impact of content, and leverage the highest possible content value. On to metadata. So now that classification's been done, we can extract data of interest based on the document type. This information in and of itself is valuable, but it's also a key catalyst as we rise up the value chain and can be a true enabler for applications. Attributes, the key data that's extracted, define a document at a deeper level and can be extremely valuable. Beyond the value of eliminating the manual entry of data, having metadata that's specific to a type of document really extends that value. There is a caveat. These attributes need to be complete and pervasive. So for example, if you only have vendor metadata on half of your invoices, that data is almost useless. Even more importantly, the information needs to be accurate and validated. So having a wrong invoice number is worse than no invoice number at all. Accurate metadata about a document really drives the collection of contextual data and facilitates and enables core content business functions. Things like where to store the document, security rules, searching based on metadata, enabling workflow branching or RPA, business rules and actions, approvals and routing, and they're really helpful in compliance and governance. Correlations next. Now we get into the complex. There's two elements at the highest value of the content element stack, and correlation is the first one. So correlation is a linkage through structured data that ties document content together. I call it the digital breadcrumb. This can be one of the most difficult and manual processes an organization will undertake if they don't have the right technology. So in order to facilitate correlation, key steps need to occur. definition of classification and extraction model, a conversion from unstructured to structured, content relationship mapping, content data enrichment from both internal and external sources, transfer into a visualization tool. Therefore, correlation value relies on all of the elements. An example, a company that's doing a GDPR discovery and wants to see all the documents tied to a banking application. Alternatively, it could be an oil and gas entity that has a well failure and wants to see all the documents relating to the install and safety checks on a bad component. So once we've linked and correlated our document data, how do we expose that value? Typically, we'll require an application to take advantage of this element. So some content services platforms will provide a view of related or correlated content. Some visualization tools will let you view that connected data. The true benefit is the speed of finding not only the primary content you're looking for, but also all the correlated content and data. This leads to less time on task and can be a strong efficiency creator. Now for the top of the stack, context. Context, really the what I call the elusive unicorn of the content value stack, and really where the highest business value can be achieved. Technology that can expose context is a modern phenomenon, but today in this day and age of machine learning, artificial intelligence, and natural language processing, models can be built to establish broad context for your content. Think of context as the full and extended story. It requires catalyst data, remember that metadata as an initiator, along with the ability to acquire entity information within the content, things like places, people, and other items of interest. That data is then enriched with information from internal and external sources, providing the user with all of the information to do their task at their fingertips. Full context is an enabler for full content understanding and the awareness of all the attributes, not only on the document that's being processed, but also that extended story can be leveraged for decision-making and rapid task completion. The value is that users now have all that data required to accomplish their task in one single view, without the need to go hunting for information. Once again, think how many times per day you take data from content and leverage that data to extend the story in another system. This data collection effort provides value today in process, and it's kept for future use so that others that need to interact with it can leverage it, as well as data science and analytics teams. So now that we understand the elements of value, let's look across our enterprise structure and identify the biggest impact areas and what technical tools you can identify that would benefit from the addition of Smart Capture. But first, we need to ensure that we have the right technical infrastructure around Smart Capture. So first off, with the rise of robotic process automation, it's really been a game changer for organizations over the past few years. Researchers at Hadoop estimate that the potential savings that companies will experience with RPA by 2025 is between $5 and $7 trillion. With that type of impact, every digital transformation effort has added some level of RPA at its core. But the digital worker has very basic native content vision capabilities, with legacy optical character recognition, or OCR, being leveraged for rudimentary content interpretation. With the right content vision technology, the digital worker can start to truly understand and interpret digital content, providing enhanced efficiency and true automation. So to allow this, a key requirement is an extensive web services stack provided by a modern Smart Capture platform that allows micro and macro services that expose all those layers of content value. Let's face it, Organizations today are at all different stages of the cloud journey, and the advantages of cloud computing make it a compelling component of just about every IT short-term and long-term plan, especially around digital transformation. So to provide max flexibility, applications that can support all phases of the journey can provide max flexibility, support transition periods, and allow for contingencies. An intelligent platform that can provide total transparency to the end user while allowing operations in public and private clouds is now a complete necessity. So here are some key attributes of the technology that you must have. Must be a browser-based application for end user and admin access, those open APIs that we talked about. VM support for on-prem, and the installed version should be for both Windows and Linux. True cloud application architecture, and obviously one of the biggest benefits of that cloud is auto scaling and burst capability. So according to dictionary.com, machine learning is a branch of artificial intelligence in which a computer generates rules underlying or based on raw data that's fed into it. Machine learning allows the organization to reduce configuration time and learn as more and more content is processed. With this centralized learning technology, that information can be shared and leveraged by the extended organization. The premise is that the system gets smarter over time, and as intelligence increases, the level of automation should rise as well, requiring less and less human intervention for processing the content. One note, when you're looking at technology, make sure you ask questions about how machine learning models work. Many of the applications out there today are very simplistic. They use what we call a bag of words or image matching techniques on disparate that work really well on disparate documents, but they can be challenged with similar documents like invoices. With correlation and context being the top tiers of that content value stack, accessing the value contained within them can be a huge win for your digital transformation initiative. Uncovering context requires an enrichment engine that leverages the extracted content data to gather the extended content story from other documents and data sources. This relatively new concept requires deep learning and advanced machine learning models and is now becoming possible with current technology. With technology changing so fast, obviously this list will change over time, but if you have these 5, you have a really solid foundation in your chosen doc intelligence platform that'll carry you and your organization into the future. So we've got a level set on the definition of digital transformation. We know how to assess our elements of value for our content, and we have the right capture assets from a technology perspective in place. So now, how will capture help us in the overall digital transformation journey? Let's tie it all together now. So exposing the 5 elements, we can provide max value when necessary. So the next task is to find document-centric processes that have manual classification and entry or long research, high labor requirements, and contextual information gathering. These types of processes can be fully or partially automated, providing maximum gain, a huge impact to the organization, and provide value not only to the department of focus, but also have a downstream effect on departments that interact with or leverage the same content or data. So now we'll look at each DT area of focus and see the advantages that Smart Capture can provide. So efficiency is the core result of implementing a Smart Capture solution to automate your document-centric processes. So having capture technology classify and separate documents, auto-extract key data, and place it in a system of record creates great returns on any investment. Typically, here at Effisoft, we reduce the time to process by 50 to 80%. And we've got a ton of case studies on our website you can go take a peek at. These efficiencies can be gleaned through the direct use of our application, but also have a multiplier effect when you combine them with other technologies like RPA and workflow. So the higher the level of the content value element, typically the more efficiency gain. But understand that efficiency gains can be tremendous even at the lower levels, like searchability and classification, depending on your content workflow and the requirements of the business. In this highly competitive digital market, creating customer-centered processes that are fast, accurate, and complete is essential to any organization's success. Imagine if you could turn around documents 10, 20, 50 times faster than your competition, or you have the data you need from a document instantly during a customer interaction. Smart Capture, combined with the speed and scalability of the cloud, can provide unmatched results that provide exceptional customer experiences. So in addition, having the 360-degree story with correlation and context, organizations can now have augmented customer information to service their customers in a way that their competition can't provide. Documents can be a minefield for organizations. Their unstructured content can remain dark and hidden indefinitely without the right technology. So Smart Capture can open that content up front and allow the organization to identify risks around private information, fraud, and many other areas of interest through the use of correlation and context. Having the full story from a data perspective can give an organization that 360-degree view of all the risk factors. So let's face it, if you have all the data, the full picture can open your eyes to new opportunities as well as poor performing areas of your business. So tapping into all the information in that unstructured content can provide deep insight and benchmarks that were previously unavailable. So in addition, relieving your staff that's burdened with mundane data entry tasks and allowing them to focus on new areas and new projects can really change your organization. So that's it in summary. We looked at a definition of digital transformation, the value of content, how to plug that, how to identify opportunities and plug that value into your digital transformation efforts and strategy. So that was a quick overview. If you're interested in learning how Effisoft can provide those 5 elements of value and plug into your digital transformation strategy, you can go to our website at www.effisoft.com and give us a shout. We've also got some great information throughout the website for you to look at and learn more about our technology. Are there any questions? I'm looking here. Okay, one of the questions is the ability to expose all the elements of capture available in your product today? Today, no. We've got Effisoft Transact, which can do the bottom 3 value elements. We've got a new product that we're releasing in MVP coming up here in early November that tackles correlation and context, or at least plans to do that on the roadmap. Other questions? All right. Thank you everyone for attending. Have a great day and think Effisoft when you think about content processing. Take care.